The alarm screamed across the defense station. Captain Min ran to the command center, his boots hitting the metal floor hard. The screens showed something terrible. Ships. Hundreds of alien ships dropping out of nowhere near Earth. "Sir, they're firing," someone shouted. Min watched the monitors. Bright flashes appeared across Earth's surface. Cities. They were hitting cities. New York vanished in a ball of fire. Then Tokyo. Then Mumbai. One after another, humanity's greatest achievements turned to ash and smoke. "Return fire, all stations return fire," Min ordered. Earth's defense fleet tried to fight back. They were brave. They were well trained. But it didn't matter. The alien weapons cut through human ships like paper. In minutes, 70% of Earth's fleet was gone. Burning wreckage filled the orbit around the planet. Down on Earth in an underground research lab, Doctor felt the ground shake. Dust fell from the ceiling. The lights flickered and died. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red light. "What's happening?" asked her assistant Min. "I don't know," said, but deep in her heart she knew. This was an attack, a real attack from space. She grabbed her tablet and tried to access the network. Most of it was down. Only military channels still worked, and they all said the same thing: Earth was losing. Commander Sangwoo stood in the burning ruins of Seoul's defense headquarters. Half the building had collapsed. Bodies lay everywhere. His soldiers, his friends, his family, all gone in seconds. He coughed, tasting blood and smoke. "Commander," a young soldier named Young stumbled toward him. "Sir, the aliens, they're landing ground forces. What do we do?" Sangwoo looked at the sky. Massive ships hung there like dark clouds. Smaller craft descended, bringing troops and tanks and weapons humanity had never seen before. He picked up his rifle. "We fight," he said simply. "We fight until we can't anymore." In the asteroid belt, Min's station was still operational. They were far from Earth, mining resources for the colonies. That distance saved them. The aliens hadn't reached them yet. "Captain, we're receiving a broadcast," said his communications officer. "It's from the aliens." "Put it on screen." A face appeared. It was humanoid but wrong, gray skin, 4 eyes, no nose. When it spoke, the computer translated the words. "Humans of Earth, you have been conquered by the Empire. Surrender now and accept occupation. Resistance is pointless. Your military is destroyed. Your cities are ashes. Submit, and you will be allowed to live as servants of the Empire." Min felt rage burning in his chest. Send a reply, tell them to go to hell. But before they could respond, the alien's face changed. It almost looked like it was smiling. "We know about your station, Captain Min. We know about all your little bases and colonies. We will deal with you later. You are not a threat. You are nothing." The transmission ended. Min looked at his crew. 37 people. That's all he had. 37 people against an empire that just destroyed Earth in 72 hours. "Sir," said his first officer, "what are our orders?" "We survive," Min said. "We survive and we watch. And when the time comes, we make them regret every word they just said." On Earth, the first full day of occupation began. The soldiers walked through the ruined streets. They wore powered armor and carried weapons that could level buildings, but they looked bored. To them, this wasn't a war anymore. It was cleanup. One, a civilian engineer, hid in the rubble of what used to be her apartment building. She watched the aliens patrol past. They weren't even being careful. They talked and laughed, their translator devices making strange sounds. They thought it was over. They thought humans were finished. She looked at the wrench in her hand. It was all she had, but it was something. In the underground lab worked frantically. The power was failing. She had maybe an hour before everything shut down completely. She was copying data, everything she could save. Research, weapons designs, anything that might help humanity survive. "Doctor, we need to evacuate," Min said. "The surface is too dangerous." "Just 5 more minutes," said. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Files transferred from the main computer to her portable drive. Gigabytes of information. Secrets that took decades to discover. The lights flickered again. 3 minutes of power left. Come on, she whispered. The download finished with seconds to spare, grabbed the drive and ran. Behind them, the lab's power died completely. Everything went dark, but she had the data. She had hope. Commander Sangwoo gathered what was left of his unit. 20 soldiers, 20 out of 5,000. They met in the ruins of a subway station, deep underground where the aliens couldn't see them. Listen up, Sangwoo said. Command is gone, the government is gone. As far as I can tell, we're on our own, but we're not dead yet. The aliens think they've won. They think we're going to surrender and bow down to them. Are they right? No, sir, the soldiers shouted. Damn right they're not. We're going underground. We're going to hide and watch and learn. And then we're going to teach these aliens what happens when you attack Earth. Understood? Yes, sir. Young raised his hand. Sir, what if they're too strong? What if we can't beat them? Sangwoo looked at the young man. He saw fear there, but also determination. Then we make them pay for every inch of our planet. We make them remember that humans don't quit. We make them wish they never heard of Earth. In orbit, the commander reviewed the battle reports. The conquest of Earth had taken 72 hours. That was longer than expected. Most primitive species surrendered after the first orbital strike. Humans had fought back, even though it was hopeless. Interesting. But now it was done. The human military was destroyed. Their cities were in ruins. Their survivors were scattered and afraid. The commander left a small occupation force and took the main fleet to the next target. The Empire had many worlds to conquer. Earth was just another mark on the list. That was their first mistake. They thought it was over. They thought humans would accept defeat like every other species they had conquered. They were wrong. In the asteroid belt, Captain Min watched the alien fleet leave. Most of them were going. They were leaving Earth with just a small guard force. They really did think it was over. He smiled for the first time in days. It was a cold smile, a dangerous smile. Start recording everything, he ordered. I want to know where every alien ship goes. I want to know their patrol routes, their supply lines, their weak points, because this isn't over. This is just the beginning. His crew got to work. The station was damaged but functional. They had supplies for months, and they had something the aliens didn't expect. They had time to watch, time to learn, time to plan. On Earth, in 1,000 hidden places, humans were doing the same thing. Hiding, watching, planning. The aliens had won the battle, but they had made one terrible mistake. They had left humans alive, and humans never forget. Humans never forgive, and humans never ever quit. 6 months had passed since the invasion. The occupation forces controlled Earth's surface. They had set up bases in the ruins of major cities. They patrolled the streets. They thought everything was under control. They were wrong. Doctor moved through the underground tunnels. They were old subway passages that the city forgot about decades ago. Now they were home to thousands of survivors. Had become their leader, not because she wanted to, but because someone had to. Doctor, we have a problem, said a young woman who managed their communication network. The aliens found our supply cache in Sector 7. They destroyed everything. Closed her eyes. That was 3 months of food and medicine. Gone. Any casualties? No, we got everyone out in time. Good, people matter more than supplies. Pulled out her tablet. Contact Dong. We need another supply run. Dong was a cargo pilot before the invasion. Now he was something else. A smuggler, a thief. A hero. He flew a beaten-up transport ship through the blockade, stealing supplies and bringing them to the resistance. Nobody knew how he did it. He just did. Copy that, Doc said. I'll reach out to him. In another part of the underground, Young trained new fighters. Most of them were civilians who had never held a gun before. Teachers, Engineers, artists. Now they were learning to be soldiers. Keep your weight forward, Young instructed. When you fire, the recoil will push you back. You need to be ready for it. A middle-aged woman named Jin raised her hand. When will we actually fight? I've been training for 3 months. When we're ready, Young said. The aliens think we're hiding because we're scared. Let them think that. We're actually learning, studying them, finding their weaknesses. Do they have weaknesses? Another recruit asked. Young smiled. Everyone has weaknesses, we just need to find them. Commander Sangwoo was doing exactly that. He and his team had been observing them for months. They watched patrol patterns. They studied alien equipment. They even captured a few enemy soldiers for questioning. "Sir, look at this," said one of his scouts, a man named Ho. He pointed to a screen showing aerial footage of a base. They rotate guards every 6 hours, and there's a 15-minute gap during the rotation when the eastern entrance is less protected. Sangwoo studied the images. 15 minutes isn't much. It's enough if we're fast, Ho said. Maybe, mark this base as a potential target. We'll come back to it. In space, Captain Min's station had become a spy post. They tracked every ship that came and went. They intercepted communications. They built a map of the entire enemy fleet in the solar system. "Captain, you need to see this," said his sensor officer. "A supply convoy is coming. 3 cargo ships with minimal escort. They're heading to the Mars colony." Min looked at the trajectory. When will they arrive? 48 hours. That's interesting, very interesting. Min called his crew together. "Ladies, and I think it's time we stopped just watching. It's time we did something." His crew looked nervous. They were miners and scientists, not soldiers, but they were also angry. Angry about Earth. Angry about their friends and families who died in the invasion. "What do you want to do, sir?" asked his first officer. "I want to steal a ship," Min said with a grin. Back on Earth, Dong was making another supply run. His ship moved through the debris field above the planet, using the wreckage as cover. The sensors couldn't tell the difference between his small transport and all the destroyed human vessels floating in orbit. He landed in a hidden valley far from any alien base. Resistance fighters rushed to unload the cargo. Food, medicine, weapons, ammunition, everything the underground needed to survive. "Good haul, Dong," said one of the fighters. "I aim to please," Dong said. Then he lowered his voice. "Listen, I saw something up there. The aliens are bringing in less supplies than they used to. I think they're moving resources somewhere else." "Somewhere else where?" "I don't know, but if they're getting weaker here, that's good for us." The fighter nodded and went to report this to his commander. Dong watched him go. Information was as valuable as supplies these days, maybe more valuable. In her underground lab was working on something special. When the main research facility was destroyed, she had saved all the data. Now she was using that data to build a weapon, not a big weapon, something small and portable, something that could hurt the... "How's it going?" asked Min, who had become her assistant in everything. "I'm close," said. "The armor is strong, but I found something in their technology, a weakness in their power cells. If we can hit them with the right frequency of electromagnetic pulse, their equipment shuts down. Can we build a device that does that?" "I'm building one right now," said, holding up a small rectangular device. "This is the prototype. If it works, we can make more, many more." Min stared at the device. That small thing can shut down their armor. It can shut down everything electronic in a 10-meter radius. Their armor, their weapons, their communicators, everything. "Doctor, this could change everything." "That's the plan," said. The occupation commander, whose name translated roughly to was having a bad day. Another patrol had gone missing. That was the 3rd one this month, and supply shipments were being delayed, and the human survivors were supposed to have surrendered by now, but they kept hiding. Status report demanded. His second officer brought up data on a screen. Sir, we've located several underground tunnel networks. The humans are using them to hide and move around. We've destroyed 3 of them, but there are dozens more. Then destroy them all. Sir, that would take months. The tunnel systems are extensive, and every time we enter one, we suffer casualties. Slammed his fist on the console. These are primitive humans. How are they causing us problems? The second officer didn't answer. He didn't have a good answer. They had conquered 47 species across the galaxy. None of them had been this difficult after the initial conquest. Most species accepted defeat and submitted to rule. But humans kept fighting. They kept hiding. They kept refusing to quit. Increase patrols, ordered, and request reinforcements from Command. Sir, Command won't send reinforcements. They say we have enough forces to handle primitive humans. Felt frustration building. Command didn't understand. They thought this was a normal occupation, but there was nothing normal about humans. Meanwhile, Wu sat in front of a dozen computer screens in another underground base. He was a hacker before the invasion. A good one. Now he was using his skills against the... I'm in, he said to the resistance leader watching over his shoulder. I'm inside their communication network. Can you read their messages? Not yet. Their encryption is tough, but I can see the patterns. I can see when messages are sent and where they go. That tells us a lot. Wu typed rapidly. Look at this. They're sending a lot of traffic to a base in what used to be Germany. Something big is happening there. Can you find out what? Give me time. I'll crack their codes eventually. I'm human. We're good at solving puzzles. In space, Captain Min executed his plan. His station's mining ships approached the supply convoy. On the surface, they looked like debris, damaged vessels floating randomly. The escorts scanned them and saw nothing threatening. That was their mistake. When the mining ships got close, they activated their engines and attacked. The surprise was complete. One escort was destroyed immediately. The other was damaged and tried to flee. Min's people let it go. They wanted the cargo ships, not a fight. Boarding teams go, Min ordered. His crew cut into the cargo ships and swarmed inside. The crews tried to resist but were overwhelmed. In 20 minutes, it was over. 3 cargo ships and their contents belonged to humanity. What did we get? Min asked. Food, equipment, and something better, his first officer reported. Technology. Actual technology we can study and copy. Min felt satisfaction wash over him. This was just a small victory, but it was a start. Take everything, then let's disappear before reinforcements arrive. Down on Earth, Doctor tested her prototype device. She aimed it at a piece of captured equipment and pressed the button. The alien device sparked and died, its lights going dark. It works, she whispered. Then louder, it works. Min grabbed her in a hug. Around them, other scientists and engineers cheered. They had a weapon, a real weapon that could hurt the... Commander Sangwoo received the news about his device within hours. Communication network was getting better every day. He looked at Young. Tell the fighters to get ready. We're going to hit that base we've been watching, and this time we're going to win. The underground buzzed with new energy. 6 months ago, humans were defeated and scared. Now they had hope. They had weapons. They had a plan. The still controlled Earth's surface. But under the ground in the shadows, humanity was building something the aliens never expected. They were building an army, and that army was getting ready to strike back. 1 year after the invasion, everything changed. Commander Sangwoo crouched in the ruins of an old factory. Behind him, 50 resistance fighters waited in silence. They all carried electromagnetic pulse devices. Tonight, they would test them in real combat. Target in sight, whispered Ho through the radio. Patrol, 8 soldiers approaching from the north. Sangwoo made hand signals. His fighters moved into position. They had trained for this moment for months. Now it was time to see if humans could actually win a fight against the aliens. The patrol walked past the factory. They looked bored. After a year of occupation, they had stopped being careful. No human had successfully attacked them in weeks. They thought the resistance was broken. Now, Sangwoo said quietly. His fighters activated the pulse devices. Invisible electromagnetic waves hit the soldiers. Their armor went dark. Their weapons stopped working. Their communications died. For 3 seconds, the aliens stood confused. That was all the time humans needed. The resistance fighters opened fire with conventional bullets. They, without their powered armor, fell one by one. In 30 seconds, the entire patrol was down. Collect their equipment, Sangwoo ordered. Then we disappear. His team worked fast. They took weapons, armor, communication devices, everything that might be useful. Then they vanished into the ruins before reinforcements could arrive. The next morning, Commander stared at the report in disbelief. 8 soldiers. 8 of our soldiers were killed. Yes, sir, his second officer confirmed. Their equipment was disabled first. Then they were shot with primitive projectile weapons. How did the humans disable our technology? We don't know, sir. But this is the 3rd attack this week using the same method. The humans have developed some kind of electromagnetic weapon. Felt something he hadn't felt in years. Concern. The humans were supposed to be broken. Sir, I don't think these humans understand the concept of being broken. In the underground, celebration spread through the tunnels. Sangwoo's successful attack had proven something important. Humans could fight thee and win. It wasn't easy, but it was possible. Doctor's lab was flooded with requests. Every resistance cell wanted her electromagnetic pulse devices. She worked day and night, training others to build them. Soon, dozens of underground workshops were producing the weapons. We need more materials, Min said, looking at their dwindling supplies. Contact Dong said, tell him we need electronics, lots of them. Meanwhile, Captain Min had bigger plans. The cargo ships he captured had given him an idea, a dangerous idea, but these were dangerous times. You want to do what? His first officer asked. I want to attack their main supply depot, Min repeated. It's orbiting Saturn. The convoy we captured came from there. If we can damage or destroy that depot, we hurt their entire operation in the solar system. Sir, that's suicide. The depot will have heavy defenses. Will it? Min brought up intelligence data. Look at this. They have been pulling ships out of our solar system. They're fighting wars on other fronts. Their presence here is getting smaller. They think we're no longer a threat. We're not exactly a massive threat, sir. We have 1 mining station and some cargo ships. That's what they think, Min said with a smile. Let's prove them wrong. On Earth, a new person joined the resistance. Her name was Bora, and she used to be a medical officer in Earth's military. She had been hiding for a year, but now she had something valuable to share. I've been studying the bodies we recovered, Bora told Commander Sangwoo. They have weaknesses, biological weaknesses. Tell me more. They come from a planet with lower gravity than Earth. Their bones are lighter, less dense. They're physically weaker than us. Their armor compensates for this, but without armor, a human is actually stronger. Sangwoo leaned forward. Anything else? Their eyes are adapted for different light. Earth's sun is brighter than theirs. They can see in our darkness better than we can, but bright light hurts them. Blinding them is easy. This is good intelligence, Doctor. Very good. Bora nodded. There's more. They can't tolerate Earth's heat as well as we can, or the cold. Their temperature range is narrower. We can use that. This information spread through the resistance. Suddenly, humans had more advantages than just pulse weapons. They were fighting on their home world in conditions they understood. There were the aliens here, not humans. Young used this information immediately. He started training fighters in new tactics, how to use bright lights to blind soldiers, how to use physical strength when their armor was disabled, how to fight in extreme temperatures where the aliens were weak. "We're not just surviving anymore," Young told his recruits. "We're learning how to win." In another part of the underground, Wu finally cracked the communication codes. He sat back in his chair, exhausted but triumphant. "I'm in," he announced. "I can read everything they're saying." Rushed over, "What are they saying?" Wu scrolled through messages. "They're worried. Command is demanding to know why Earth isn't fully. They're arguing about sending reinforcements. And look at this. The Empire is fighting a major war on the other side of the galaxy. They're stretched thin." "They're distracted," said. "Very distracted. And Commander here on Earth is getting desperate. He keeps asking for more troops, but Command keeps denying him. They think he should be able to control Earth with the forces he has." This intelligence reached Commander Sangwoo within hours. He called a meeting of all resistance leaders. Dr. came. Young came. Bora came. Even Dong, who rarely attended meetings, was there. "They are weak," Sangwoo said. "Weaker than we thought. They're fighting other wars. They can't spare troops for Earth. This is our chance." "Chance for what?" Dong asked. "To take back our planet, not in years, not someday in the future, now, soon. We start hitting them hard, everywhere. We make them realize Earth costs too much to hold." "Spoke up. We're not ready for a full war. We don't have the numbers." "We don't need numbers," Young said. "We need to be smart, hit them where they're weak, make them chase us, tire them out. They expect us to fight like a military. We fight like ghosts." "Guerrilla warfare," Sangwoo agreed. "Death by 1,000 cuts." The meeting lasted hours. Plans were made. Resources were allocated. Every resistance cell on Earth received orders. The time for hiding was over. The time for fighting had begun. Captain Min launched his attack on the supply depot. He had 3 mining ships and 2 captured cargo vessels. It wasn't much of a fleet, but the element of surprise was powerful. The depot's defenses expected threats from outside the solar system. They weren't watching for threats from inside. Min's ships approached from the direction of Saturn's rings, using the planet's massive bulk to hide their approach. "All ships weapons free," Min ordered. His fleet opened fire. Mining lasers designed to cut through asteroids sliced into the depot's hull. Cargo ships, loaded with explosives, rammed into docking bays and detonated. The surprise was total. "Sir, enemy fighters launching," his sensor officer warned. "Deal with them," Min said calmly. His ships were outnumbered, but they were faster and more maneuverable. The mining vessels dodged between Saturn's rings, using the ice and rock as cover. Fighters tried to follow and collided with debris. 20 minutes after the attack began, the supply depot was burning. Not destroyed, but heavily damaged. Min pulled his fleet back. "Did we win?" someone asked. "We survived," Min said. "And we hurt them. That's enough for today." News of the attack reached Earth within hours. The resistance couldn't believe it. Captain Min and his tiny fleet had damaged a major installation. If he could do that, what could thousands of resistance fighters do on Earth? The answer came quickly. Attacks erupted across the planet. Resistance cells hit supply convoys. They destroyed communication towers. They ambushed patrols. They sabotaged equipment. Everywhere they looked, humans were fighting back. Commander watched his command fall apart. In 1 week, he lost more soldiers than in the previous 6 months combined. His forces were spread thin, trying to guard everything. They couldn't be everywhere at once. "Request reinforcements from Command," ordered again. "Sir, Command refuses. They say we should be able to handle humans with our current forces." "These aren't normal humans," shouted. "These creatures don't know when they're beaten. They get stronger when we hurt them. They learn from every mistake. This isn't like any species we've conquered before." But Command didn't listen. They had other wars to fight. Earth was supposed to be a minor occupation. They had given enough troops for a minor occupation. If he couldn't handle it, that was his problem. On Earth, in 1,000 hidden places, humans prepared for the next phase. They had proven they could fight. They had proven they could win. Now they needed to prove they could liberate their planet. Doctor stood in her lab, looking at the weapons they had created. "We're going to need more," she said. "How many more?" asked Min. "All of them, every weapon we can build, every fighter we can train, every advantage we can find." Looked up, her eyes hard with determination. "We're going to take Earth back, and God help any who gets in our way." Above the planet, in the darkness of space, Captain Min watched Earth. From this distance, he could still see the lights of bases, but he could also see something else. Fires. Small fires burning all across the planet. The fires of resistance. The fires of hope. "They believed it was over," Min said quietly. "They underestimated what humans are capable of. That was their mistake, their fatal mistake." 18 months after the invasion, Commander Sangwoo stood on the surface for the first time in a year. Not hiding, not sneaking, standing openly in what used to be Seoul. Around him, 500 human fighters prepared for the largest operation of the resistance. "Operation Reclamation starts tonight," Sangwoo said into his radio. Across Earth, thousands of resistance fighters heard him. "Tonight we take back our first city. Tomorrow we take back our world." The plan was bold, maybe too bold, but hiding in tunnels forever wasn't living. It was time to reclaim the surface. Time to show that Earth belonged to humans. "All units move out," Sangwoo ordered. In space, Captain Min had assembled something unexpected. A fleet. Not a real military fleet. These were cargo ships, mining vessels, and even pleasure craft. Anything with an engine that could fly. Some were barely held together with spare parts and hope. His people called them. "Are these things even safe to fly?" asked his first officer, looking at a particularly rusty cargo hauler. "Probably not," Min admitted. "But safe isn't what we need right now. We need numbers. We need to look like a threat." "Sir, they will see right through this. These aren't warships." "No, they're not, but they don't know that yet. And by the time they figure it out, we'll have already done our job." His job was simple: distract the fleet in orbit while Sangwoo attacked on the surface. Split their attention. Make them choose between threats. Down on Earth, Doctor watched the city through a scope. The base was in the center of what used to be downtown Seoul. It was heavily defended. Walls, towers, sensors, hundreds of alien soldiers. "We can't take that head-on," said Min. "We don't have to," replied. "We just need to get inside, and I know how." She pulled out a tablet showing communication frequencies. Wu had cracked their codes months ago. Now had built something special, a device that could mimic signals. "We're going to walk right through the front door," she said. The attack began at midnight. Captain Min's fleet appeared near Earth's orbit. To sensors, they looked like a proper invasion force. Dozens of ships approaching in formation. "Sir, unknown vessels approaching," an officer reported to Commander. Stared at the sensors. "Where did humans get that many ships?" "We don't know, sir, but they're armed. They're firing on our orbital platforms." "All fleet units engage those ships. I want them destroyed." The fleet broke orbit and rushed toward Min's vessels. It was exactly what he wanted. With the fleet busy in space, the defenses on the surface would be weaker. On the ground, Sangwoo's forces moved toward Seoul. They used the underground tunnels to get close. Then they emerged from dozens of exit points simultaneously. The guards were confused. Humans were appearing everywhere at once. "Fire!" Young shouted. The resistance fighters activated their electromagnetic pulse weapons. Equipment died across the city. Then humans attacked with bullets, explosives, and sheer determination. Meanwhile's team approached the main base wearing stolen armor. It was uncomfortable and smelled weird, but it worked. Her mimicking device broadcast fake identification signals. The base sensors registered them as friendly troops. "Halt," said a guard at the gate. His heart pounded. This was the moment. If the guard looked too closely, they were dead. But she had studied behavior. She knew they were arrogant. They never expected humans to be smart enough to trick them. "Emergency supplies," said through a translator. "From command." The guard checked his tablet. The mimicking device fed false data to his screen. It showed authorized delivery orders that didn't exist. "Pass," the guard said, waving them through. They were inside, and her team moved quickly through the base. Their target was the main power generator. If they could destroy it, the entire base would go dark. In orbit, Min's fleet was taking heavy fire. His ships weren't real warships. They couldn't take much damage, but they were fast and unpredictable. "Captain, we're losing ships," someone shouted. "Keep moving," Min ordered. "Make them chase us, keep them busy." One of his cargo ships was hit and exploded. Then another. They were winning the space battle, but they were doing it far from Earth, exactly where Min wanted them. On the ground, the battle for Seoul was chaos. Soldiers tried to organize a defense, but they were confused. Their communications were jammed. Their equipment kept failing, and humans were everywhere, attacking from every direction. Young led a charge into a strongpoint. His fighters threw grenades first, blinding the aliens. Then they rushed in with physical weapons. Bora had been right. Without their armor, humans were stronger than in hand-to-hand combat. "Push forward," Young yelled. "Don't give them time to regroup." Commander watched disaster unfold from his command center. The space battle, the ground assault, both happening at once. He didn't have enough forces to stop both. "Sir, what are your orders?" "Made a decision. Recall half the fleet, have them support the ground forces. We cannot lose Seoul." But before the fleet could return, reached her target. The main power generator was heavily shielded, but she had brought something special, a shaped charge made from captured explosives. "Everyone out," ordered her team. "This is going to be loud." They planted the charge and ran. The explosion tore through the generator. Power failed across the entire base. Lights died. Shields dropped. Automated defenses shut down. "Now," Sang-woo shouted into his radio. Human forces poured into the base. Without power, it was just a building. Without their technology, they were just soldiers, and they were outnumbered 3-1. The battle lasted through the night. By morning, it was over. Seoul was liberated. The garrison was destroyed or captured. For the first time since the invasion, a major human city was free. Sang-woo stood in the center of Seoul and planted a flag. It was torn and burned, but it was Earth's flag. Behind him, resistance fighters cheered. Citizens emerged from hiding, crying with joy. "One city," Sang-woo said quietly. "One city down, many more to go." In space, Min saw the signal. Seoul was free. He had lost half his fleet keeping them busy, but it was worth it. "All ships disengage and retreat," he ordered. His remaining scattered in every direction. They tried to chase them but gave up quickly. They had bigger problems. They had just lost a major city. Commander stared at the reports in disbelief. Seoul was gone. A human city flying a human flag defended by human forces. It was impossible. It was unthinkable. "Contact command," said. "Tell them I need reinforcements immediately. Tell them Earth is not. Tell them the humans are winning." This time, command listened. Not because they wanted to help, but because losing a city to a conquered species was embarrassing. The Empire had a reputation to maintain. "Reinforcements are being sent," command replied. "You will receive 2 battle fleets within the week. Crush this rebellion." Felt relief. 2 battle fleets. That was enough firepower to destroy Earth if necessary. The humans had won one battle, but they would lose the war. What didn't know was that humans were expecting reinforcements. Wu had been reading messages for months. He knew the fleets were coming, and Commander Sang-woo already had a plan. "Let them come," Sangwoo said when he heard the news. "We're not the same humans they invaded 18 months ago. We've learned, we've adapted, we've become something they didn't expect." In the liberated Seoul, people were already rebuilding. Engineers repaired buildings. Farmers planted crops in the ruins. Children played in the streets for the first time since the invasion. It was just one city, just a small piece of earth, but it was free. Doctor walked through the streets, amazed at how quickly people were recovering. Humans were resilient. Hurt them and they bounce back stronger. Knock them down and they get up fighting. "Doctor," a little girl ran up to her. "Thank you for saving us." Knelt down. "I didn't save you alone. We all saved each other. That's what humans do." The girl hugged her and ran off to play. Stood up, watching the city come back to life. This was why they fought. Not for revenge, not for glory, for this, for freedom, for the right to live without fear. Captain Min returned to his station with what was left of his fleet. He had started with 30 ships. Now he had 12, but those 12 had fought a real battle and survived. His crew had gone from miners and scientists to warriors. "Captain, we're receiving messages," his communications officer said. "From other stations, from the moon base, from the Mars colony. Everyone saw what we did. Everyone saw Seoul liberated. They want to join us." Min smiled. "Tell them yes, tell them all yes. It's time to build a real fleet, a human fleet. And when those reinforcements arrive, they're going to find something waiting for them, something they didn't expect." "What's that, sir?" "Humans who refuse to quit, humans who learned from defeat, humans who turn terror into rage and rage into strength." Min looked at Earth, now with a free city glowing on its surface. "The thought they conquered us, but they just made us angry, and angry humans are the most dangerous thing in the galaxy." In a hidden location, Young trained new fighters, not just hundreds now, thousands. People from every country, every background, every age, all united with one goal: take back Earth. "Tomorrow we march on," he told his troops. "Next week Tokyo, next month New York. We're not stopping. We're not slowing down. We're taking back every inch of our planet, one city at a time." The fighters cheered. They had seen that humans could win. They had proof. Seoul was free, and if Seoul could be liberated, so could everywhere else. Across Earth, resistance cells received the same message. Keep fighting, keep pushing. Though we're on the defensive now. For the first time since the invasion, humans were winning. Commander prepared his forces for the reinforcements. When they arrived, he would launch a counterattack, retake Seoul, crush the rebellion, show humans what happens when they resist the empire. But as he made his plans, he felt something new, something he had never felt in 20 years of conquering worlds: doubt. Because these humans didn't fight like any species he had ever seen. They got stronger from defeat. They learned from mistakes. They never, ever gave up. And now they had tasted victory. Now they knew they could win. That made them even more dangerous. 2 years after the invasion, the Empire sent its largest fleet ever to Earth. 200 warships, enough firepower to destroy the planet 10 times over. They were done playing nice. They were done with occupation. This was extermination. Commander stood on the bridge of the flagship, watching Earth grow larger on the. "This time we end it," he said. "Sir, sensors detect human ships in orbit," an officer reported. "How many?" 50, maybe 60. It's hard to tell. They're using unusual formations." Laughed. 60 ships against our 200. The humans have learned nothing. But he was wrong. Humans had learned everything. On Earth, Commander Sangwoo stood in the command center that used to be base in Seoul. Around him, screens showed the entire planet. Dozens of cities were now free. Hundreds of thousands of resistance fighters were ready to fight. "The fleet has arrived," reported from her communication station. "Good," Sangwoo said. "Tell Captain Min to begin Phase 1. In space, Min watched the massive fleet approach. His 60 ships looked tiny compared to the enemy, But numbers weren't everything. Humans had learned that lesson well. All ships spread out, Min ordered. Make them chase us through the orbital debris. His fleet scattered. Some headed toward the moon. Some dove toward Earth's atmosphere. Some hid in the graveyard of destroyed ships from 2 years ago. The fleet split up to chase them. That was mistake number one. They're separating their forces, Min's first officer observed. Just like we planned, Min said. Now comes the fun part. On Earth, Young watched a ground assault force landing near Tokyo. 2,000 enemy soldiers with heavy equipment. But Tokyo had been free for 3 months. It had defenses now, and people who knew how to use them. Let them land, Young said calmly. Let them get comfortable, then we hit them. The soldiers deployed from their landing craft. They expected resistance. What they didn't expect was the level of preparation. As they moved into the city, buildings exploded around them. Not random explosions, calculated ones, channeling the forces into kill zones. Now, Young shouted. Electromagnetic pulse weapons fired from 100 hidden positions. Equipment died. Then humans attacked from above, below, and all sides at once. The aliens tried to fight back, but they were in an urban environment against people who knew every street and building. In 90 minutes, the assault force was destroyed. 2,000 soldiers gone. In space, the separated fleet was learning a hard lesson. Min's ships weren't running away. They were leading the enemy into traps. Some ships chased humans into debris fields and were destroyed by hidden mines. Others followed prey toward the moon and found themselves ambushed by defense platforms humans had built in secret. Sir, we're losing ships, an officer reported to. How? They only have 60 vessels. Sir, they're not fighting fairly. They're using the environment. They're using tricks. They're not engaging in proper combat. Wanted to scream. Fair combat. There was no such thing, but the military had doctrines and rules. Humans apparently didn't care about any of that. Recall all forces, ordered. Reform the fleet, we'll attack as one unit. But regrouping took time, and time was something humans used well. While the fleet reorganized, Captain Min prepared his real surprise. Sir, they're reforming their fleet, his sensor officer reported. Perfect, Min said. Signal the hidden fleet, it's time. From the asteroid belt, from the dark side of the moon, from hiding spots all over the solar system, more ships appeared. Not 60 ships, not 100. Over 300 human vessels emerged from hiding. They weren't all warships. Many were converted civilian craft, but they all had weapons, and they all had crews willing to die for Earth. All ships attack formation, Min ordered. Show them what humans can do. On Earth, Doctor activated her masterpiece. 2 years of research, 2 years of captured technology. She had built something the thought impossible, a planet-wide electromagnetic shield. Powering up, she said. Energy surged through hidden generators across Earth. An invisible field surrounded the planet. Any ship that tried to bombard the surface from orbit would find their weapons failing. It works, Min said, watching the readings. It actually works. Of course it works, said. I built it. Commander watched in horror as his advantage disappeared. The human fleet was larger than intelligence reported. Earth had some kind of shield he didn't know about. And on the ground, his forces were being slaughtered in every city they attacked. This is impossible, said. They were a defeated species. We conquered them in 72 hours. Sir, his second officer said quietly, I think that was the problem. We thought we won too easily. We didn't realize humans were just learning, watching, planning. In space, the battle was chaos. Ships were better armed and better armored, but human ships were faster, more creative, and fought with a desperation they couldn't match. A young tactician named Sung had designed the human battle strategy. He didn't try to match ship to ship. Instead, he had 3 or 4 human ships gang up on one vessel. overwhelming it with numbers before moving to the next target. "It's working," someone shouted on Min's bridge. The fleet was taking heavy losses. For every human ship destroyed, they lost one of their own, and humans had more ships. The math was simple and brutal. "All units press the attack," Min ordered. "Don't give them room to breathe." On Earth, Bora led a medical team through newly liberated New York. The city had been under control until yesterday. Now it was free, and people needed help. "Doctor, there are still some enemy soldiers holed up in that building," a fighter told her. "Are they fighting?" "No, they're trying to surrender." Bora paused. 2 years ago she would have wanted revenge, would have wanted them dead, but now she just felt tired. "Take them prisoner, they'll be useful for intelligence." The fighter looked surprised. "You sure, Doc, after everything they did?" "I'm sure. We're not trying to be like them, we're trying to be better." In orbit, Commander made a decision. "Prepare to retreat." "Sir," his officers looked shocked. "We cannot win this battle," said. "The humans have more ships than we do. They have planetary defenses we cannot penetrate, and they fight like demons. If we stay, we lose the entire fleet. Pull back." "Sir, Command will not accept a retreat. They'll court-martial you." "Let them try," said. "I'd rather face a court-martial than die here. All ships withdraw to the edge of the solar system. Now." The fleet began to retreat. Human ships pursued them, but Min called them back. "Sir, they're running," his first officer said. "We should destroy them." "No," Min said. "Let them go. Let them tell the Empire what happened here. Let them spread the word." "What word, sir?" "That Earth is death to anyone who attacks it. That humans don't surrender. That we fight until we win or until we're dead. Let them fear us." On Earth, in the liberated Seoul, a woman named Sun stood before a camera. She used to be a diplomat before the invasion. Now she was humanity's voice to the galaxy. "To the Empire and all who hear this message," Sun said, "Earth is free. We have driven out the invaders. We have reclaimed our world. You came here thinking we were weak, thinking we would surrender. You were wrong." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We are human. We do not quit. We do not break. Push us and we push back harder. Attack us and we learn from it. Try to destroy us and we become stronger. This is not a threat. This is a promise. Leave us alone and we will leave you alone. But if you come back, if you try to conquer Earth again, we will not stop until your empire is dust." The message broadcast across every frequency. Every ship in the solar system heard it. Every planet with receivers picked it up. Across the galaxy, species heard humanity's declaration. Commander, retreating with what was left of his fleet, heard it too. He thought about fighting for his honor, thought about turning back for one more battle. Then he looked at his losses. Half his fleet gone, destroyed by humans, by a species that was supposed to be primitive and weak. "Set course for home," ordered. "We're done here." Back on Earth, celebrations erupted in every free city. People danced in the streets, flags waved, music played, children laughed. After 2 years of war, Earth was free again. But Commander Sangwoo didn't celebrate. He stood on a rooftop looking at the damage. Entire cities were ruins. Millions of people were dead. Earth would take decades to fully recover. "Sir," Young approached him, "we won, shouldn't you be happy?" "I am happy," Sangwoo said, "but I'm also sad. Look at what we lost. Look at what they took from us." "But we survived. We fought back. We won." "Yes," Sangwoo agreed. "And now the entire galaxy knows what happens when you attack Earth. They know humans never quit. They know we're dangerous." "Is that a bad thing?" "I don't know yet, but I know one thing. We were underestimated once. It cost the dearly. No one will underestimate humanity again." In the asteroid belt, Captain Min held a memorial service for the ships and crews they lost. 30 vessels destroyed in the final battle. Over 500 people dead. They won, but victory had a price. "They died free," Min said to the assembled crews. "They died fighting. They died making sure Earth would survive. We honor them by living, by building, by making sure their sacrifice meant something. Doctor sat in her lab, surrounded by technology both human and. She had so much work ahead. Rebuilding Earth's defenses, preparing for future threats, making sure humans would never be caught off guard again. "You should rest," Min said. "Later," replied. "Right now I need to work. There won't be the last aliens we meet. We need to be ready." "Do you think they'll come back?" "No," said. "I think they'll warn others to stay away, but the galaxy is big. There are other threats out there. We need to be prepared." Across Earth, humans began the long process of rebuilding. Cities rose from ruins. Farms produced food again. Schools reopened. Slowly, carefully, life returned to normal. But it was a new normal. A normal where everyone knew how to fight. Where every citizen understood the cost of freedom. Young continued training fighters, even though the war was over. "Just because they are gone doesn't mean we can relax," he told new recruits. "We must always be ready." The recruits nodded. They had grown up during the war. They understood. On the edge of the solar system, the last ships jumped to hyperspace and left. They carried news of their defeat. News of a species that fought back harder than anyone expected. News that some planets were too dangerous to conquer. The Empire added Earth to their database with a simple note: "Never engage. Hostile, extremely dangerous, not worth the cost." Other alien empires heard the story and laughed at first. Humans, dangerous. They were so small, so primitive, so weak. But then they saw the data, saw what humans did when pushed to extinction, saw how they adapted and learned and fought, saw how they turned their world into a fortress and their people into an army. The laughter stopped, respect began, and fear. Because if humans could do that when attacked, what could they do if they went on the offensive? Years passed. Earth recovered. The scars remained, but so did the strength. Humans looked to the stars not with fear anymore, but with confidence. They had been tested. They had been pushed to the edge of extinction. And they had won. In Seoul, a monument was built. It showed a human fighter standing on rubble holding a flag. The inscription read, "They believed it was over. They underestimated what humans are capable of. We will never forget. We will never surrender. We are Earth." Commander Sangwoo stood before the monument on its dedication day. He was older now, gray hair, tired eyes, but still standing, still alive. "We survived," he said to the crowd. "And more than that, we proved something. We proved that humans are not weak. We're not primitive. We're survivors. We're fighters. We're builders. And when someone tries to destroy us, we show them exactly what we're capable of." The crowd cheered. Children who were born during the war, adults who fought in it, elderly who lived through it, all of them survivors, all of them human.